What happens to those kids who are always told they were the smart one? Today, we're going to dive into this really interesting idea, the concept that this early gift can actually become a set of golden handcuffs later in life. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? What starts out as this amazing label, something to be proud of, can slowly turn into this heavy weight you have to lug around. It sets up these expectations that become incredibly hard to carry, especially as life gets more complicated. And that leads us to the big question here. It's a story you hear all the time. The kid who just breezed through everything, who never seemed to try, suddenly hits a wall as an adult. So why does that happen? Let's break it down. Okay, first, let's really look at the two sides of this. Being called gifted absolutely starts out as a blessing, but as we're about to see, it can turn into a curse really fast. I mean, think back to school, right? If you were the smart kid, you had your identity all figured out. It meant good grades came easy, you got a lot of praise, and the road ahead just seemed clear. It felt amazing, almost like you had a superpower. But here's the thing. There was always a catch. That identity, that feeling of being special, it wasn't free. It came with this hidden condition, and it's one that most of us don't even see until it's way too late. And that hidden condition? Well, it has a name. Psychologists call it the conditional identity trap. And this is the exact moment that gift starts to feel more like a cage. So what is a conditional identity? It's when your whole sense of who you are, your actual worth as a person, gets completely tangled up with your achievements. You're not worthy just because you exist. You're worthy because you perform, because you get the A, because you win. And looking at it this way really shows the split. On one side, with a conditional identity, your value is all about success. That means failure isn't just a setback, it feels like a direct attack on who you are. But on the other side, with unconditional self-worth, your value is just a given. It's inherent. Failure, it's just feedback. It's a chance to learn something. When you think that way, you end up building this incredibly fragile identity. It's like a house of cards built on praise and perfect scores. As long as those easy wins keep coming, the house stands strong. But what happens when they stop? Well, that leads directly to the biggest consequence of this fragile identity, a deep, almost paralyzing fear of actually trying. For someone whose entire identity is "I'm the smart one," a challenge that requires real hard effort is terrifying. Because if you have to try really, really hard and you still might fail, what does it say about you? The risk feels huge. You're not just risking failing the task, you're risking failing at being yourself. And this kicks off a really vicious cycle. So, step 1, you face a new, tough challenge. Step 2, that risk of failure immediately triggers an identity crisis. This is the moment you might get exposed. So, step 3, to protect that smart identity, you just avoid the challenge. You procrastinate, you make excuses, you quit, maybe you never even start. And in the short term, hey, it works. Your identity is safe. But the long-term cost is massive. You never grow. You stagnate. This whole avoidance thing becomes a massive problem when you finally get to adulthood, because out there, the rules of the game are completely different. Think about it. In a small high school, it's pretty easy to be the smartest kid in the room. But then you get to college or into your career, and suddenly the world is filled with smart, capable, hardworking people. You're not the big fish in a small pond anymore, and all that external validation you used to run on, it just starts to dry up. And here's what's so crucial to understand. There is absolutely nothing wrong with being average. The pain doesn't come from just being normal. The pain comes from the fall. It's that jarring, sudden gap between the identity you were handed, the special one, and the new reality of being just one among many talented people. That gap, that's where the struggle really lives. So how in the world do you break free from these golden handcuffs? Well, it all starts by completely rethinking where the problem came from in the first place. When you get right down to it, this was never really about how smart you are. It was about building your sense of self on a really shaky foundation of what other people thought of you. So the solution isn't to somehow get smarter to reclaim that old title. It's to build a totally new, more resilient identity, one that's separate from your wins and your losses. And that really leaves us with the last and maybe the most important question of all. If you strip away all the achievements, the grades, the promotions, what's actually left? Answering that question for yourself, that's the very first step toward building an identity that's unconditional, that's resilient, and that is truly, truly yours.